It's good tea. Good tea. I love me some tea.
This is RealChatz Studio.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the next episode of RealChatz, where RealChatz is what we focus on. Presence is today's topic of conversation. Presence makes everything better. Now, you might ask, yo, Drew, what is presence? What does that even mean? And no, we're not talking about presence with a TS as in like a gift. We're talking about presence as in awareness. Now, presence is a very interesting topic to discuss. And it kind of links up to last episode and to next episode as well. You'll kind of see the golden thread weaved throughout the episodes, and we keep drawing it back to the simple things and the aspects that bring life to life, so to say. Now, when it comes to the topic of presence, we can break it down in a couple of different ways. And I'm going to share again my little thing that I brought with to the table here today, and that is a personal philosophy. Now, one piece of that philosophy, and I'll explain the whole philosophy in a second as well, but one piece of that philosophy is what presence means to me is showing up as my best possible self in all ways I possibly can. Now, what that basically means is when I am present, I am my best me, and I'm ready for anything that life has to offer me and life has to throw at me, and any combination of those beautiful things that get brought to the table by external circumstance. Now, the philosophy is grounded in when you have thoughts racing through your head at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you are distracted by worries about the future or depressions about the past and regrets and things that you could have, would have, should have done, or things that you got to prepare for because you never know what's going to go wrong or what can go right. When you've got all of those things busy tearing you apart and you're not actually bringing yourself to the moment, you are showing up as a fractured self, or you're showing up as somebody who is torn apart by stresses and anxieties and depressions and woes and all the things from the past. Now, basically, the essence of presence is letting go of those anchors that create worry and create future issues that'll probably never arrive, and let go of circumstances that are not the way that we'd like them to be, and forgive those moments and let go of those moments so that we can actually show up here in this moment and make the best out of it. Now, to bring it back to my opening statement of presence makes everything better. What I mean by that is if you are super, super present and somebody gives you a flower, or somebody smiles at you and somebody says hello, you are able to rise to the occasion with the fullness of your being and return a smile, have a hearty, whole being laugh, or be silly, or enjoy the moment to its best capacity. Or if something unfortunate happens or unforeseen happens that is undesirable, in quotation marks, then you are also able to witness the emotions and the thought patterns and the happenings unfold in a way that doesn't cause more trauma to be stored in the body. Basically, when we experience a trauma, or when we experience something very jarring and shocking, let's put it like that, our body, if we are not capable or present enough to handle that situation and to process it on the spot, what happens is we create frozen trauma, frozen grief, frozen emotions, and unhappiness that gets stored in the body. And that then creates a space of repression in the body, and those emotions basically get put on like a little USB and plugged away and stuck away in a dark little corner to either someday be released or to get festered up over there and down the line cause health issues and other problems that arise in life through it not being able to be released and processed in a healthy manner. Now, where presence comes in handy in those situations is as the emotion gets triggered, as the thought patterns come up, as the trauma or the experience or whatever is happening, the unfolding happens, you are able to witness it and then say, okay, I got angry there. Okay, I got sad there. Oh, you see, that tore my heart apart a little bit. Or, oh, wow, I got super, super joyful there. And I got an amazing gift handed to me from X, Y, and Z, and it really, really sparked joy in my life, or it really, really sparked unhappiness in my life. You are able to take note of the individual feelings that come up, as well as the thought patterns of, oh, shit, I really didn't like that, or, oh, wow, that was absolutely amazing. And being able to be present with those emotions allows you not to hold on to them, because a joy held onto from yesterday becomes today's sorrow, because we're trying to compare today to yesterday. So sometimes you go through life and you remember the good old days, or back when that happened, it was a time of my life. And again, you create more things that you're holding on to from your past. So it can be something desirable or happy or pleasant that you hold on to, as well as something undesirable or unpleasant that you're holding on to. And both of those create a diversion of your presence in today, which means you can't rock up as the best you while you're still holding on to past you. Now, when it comes to presence and awareness, in my opinion, in the same thing. They are just different ways of expressing the same thing. And what I mean by that is awareness or presence. Presence is the awareness of all aspects of self. And I mean that on a physical level, on a mental level, an emotional level, and a spiritual level, or an energetic level. And basically what that means is you create the awareness of what's going on inside. So if you are physically aware, okay, I've got an ache or a pain over here, or my body is super energized, or my body is a little bit tired today, it needs some rest, or I'm ready to work, I'm ready to graft, I've got, like, you know, your body will give you hints, and sometimes it's not even hints, sometimes it's blatant shouting at what's going on, and it's saying, listen to me. So the awareness around the physical body is being able to say, okay, my body needs this. It needs a certain type of food. Maybe it needs a quick little breather and a drink. Maybe it needs a good rest. Maybe it needs some sunshine. Maybe it needs some fresh air. Maybe it needs any number of things. But the awareness of what the message is that your body is conveying to you is important in order for you to feed it and put the right petrol into your body so that it may serve you as best as it can. Now, the awareness on a mental level is being able to take note of the thought patterns and the belief systems that you've got in place, and being able to say, okay, that thought pattern over there, it is destructive, it devalues my self-confidence, and it takes away from my ability to believe in myself, and I feel insecure in my body because of X, Y, and Z. And you see the pattern there. It basically, when you are aware of that thought pattern going on, you can say, okay, cool, that doesn't serve me in this moment. I now choose to shift this into something else. I now choose to supply my mind with the fuel that is constructive instead of destructive. And there, your awareness or presence is the catalyst itself to change that thought pattern into something that serves you and that actually helps benefit you and the you are trying to become. We will dive a little bit more into that with the subconscious reprogramming and the shadow work episode that is coming up next. I'm quite excited about that. But that is a topic on its own. So we're gonna brush by that one a little bit today, and hopefully give you enough little tidbits that you find this useful. And then we're going to dive into some even more in-depth practices and tools that we're going to cover in a following episode. Now, to cover the next aspect of awareness and presence, the emotional side of things. Now, when it comes to emotions are tricky. Like, I'm not going to say especially for me. That's not true. Emotions are something that, unless we actually practice presence with them, they can be quite difficult to deal with. And I never used to, in my younger days, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I didn't always handle my emotions super well until I went on a little shadow workshop, that basically taught me how to manage my emotions as well as sit with them and feel them. Because all your emotions are a messenger for something that is happening. Emotion is energy in motion. It's a little side joke, or a side little quest on that. But basically, when you have an emotion come up, whether it be grief or sadness or joy and happiness or excitement, motivation, what all these different emotions bring to the body is a different chemical state in the body. And if, for example, what most people, if not all people, I'm pretty sure all people at one or another point in time of their life experience stress. And basically what stress is in the body is cortisol. And when we experience high levels of stress, we produce huge amounts of cortisol in the body, and that activates our body's fight or flight response. And when we live in perpetual stress, that is where the issues come in. That is where we start to experience burnout and mental fatigue and brain fog, and our bodies just can't cope because we are trying to push it past its limits and not resting it. Now, with what presence brings to the table, specifically with stress, but in essence with all emotions, is it allows you to process those emotions and it allows you to let go of them. And what that does is it tells your body it's safe to let go of that. It doesn't have to live perpetually in fight or flight. And it allows you to reset. Now, sometimes people rely on holidays for that. Sometimes people rely on exercise for that. Sometimes people rely on daily practice for that. Sometimes people don't have coping mechanisms for those emotions. And this is where the presence comes in. Cultivating presence for your emotional being or your emotional body is essential. It's essential for all of your bodies. But I think I believe because we have in the past of humanity and the history that we've come out of, a lot of emotional suppression has been the name of the game. It's very easy to become aware of your thoughts, for most people at least, because we spend most of our time in our thoughts. This is the place that most of our existence goes on. You're thinking about everything over there. But basically, when we become aware of our emotions, and this was my journey as well, where I had to actually become aware of the different emotions. I was just in perpetual displeasure with many things that was going on, and it just sat me in a place of depression and just general unhappiness and apathy for life. And when I started becoming aware that that was a blanket emotion, for me at least, there were many other different things that I wasn't accepting and allowing to come through and holding space for myself in, that was causing that unhappiness and depression in my life. When I started to become present with those emotions and say, okay, cool. I've got a piece of insecurity over here that makes me hate my body, and that's because X, Y, and Z. So how can you change that? And yes, the mental side of things and the emotional side of things go hand in hand, because if you've got a story, that story eventually becomes so entrenched that you start to have an emotional reaction about it. And after you have an emotional reaction about something for long enough, it becomes a physical reaction. So if you hold on to stress and anxiety for too long, eventually you create burnout in the body. And if you hold on to burnout for long enough, you're going to create health problems and diseases, same thing, many years down the line, where you actually run your body down. And so the practice of becoming aware of these things is your natural remedy of being able to not only heal your body, but heal your emotions and your mind and live a better version of you. Now, when it comes to the spiritual side of things, that's an interesting one, and we're going to try and break it down in a sense that's not too esoteric or metaphysical. That's more accessible, pardon me. We're trying to bring this to a more accessible term in an accessible term that pretty much anybody and everybody can understand this. Now, what it means to be aware in a spiritual way. By this, I think it is inclusive of your physical, mental, and emotional, to be aware of all three of those aspects and to be aware of the different things going on there. I think that forms part of the spiritual aspect. In addition to that, I think and believe the awareness of your body, but the subtle body. And this is now where it gets a little bit interesting to discuss. If you create awareness of the subtle things that are happening in your body, whether it be the aliveness in your hands. Eckhart Tolle talks about this quite a lot. Or Eckhart Tolle, I don't know how you say his name. But yes, Eckhart often talks about feeling the aliveness and the presence or the energy in your body. And that forms another aspect of that. The shamans believe being able to be aware of the inner workings of the intuitive mind is an aspect of spiritual awareness. Reiki healers and crystal healers and energy healers and all those kinds of healers believe the awareness of your different chakras or your different energy centers in the body is another aspect of being spiritually aware. It means being able to be aware of the different energy points which govern aspects of our life. For example, the throat chakra is believed or said to link to your self-expression. And so if you have a blocked throat chakra, oftentimes you will not be able to say what is needed, or you will say things that just don't work and don't really express what needs to be said. Or sometimes you just don't stand up for yourself. And it could be as simple as not being able to ask for what you need. So when it comes to the spiritual awareness, I think we can take it as an easy approach of looking at your life holistically and looking at it in a sense of what's the big picture? What is the ultimate over here of how these different aspects of my life work together to formulate the current situation that I'm in? So struggling with writer's block, check your creative energy centers or your sacral chakra, where you are bringing that creative energy into life. Now, before we get too metaphysical with this, we're going to take a new little spin on this and actually work on some tools, or talk about some tools in which we can cultivate presence. Now, I mentioned in my last episode, and you will hear me speak about this many, many, many times, and cultivating presence is my personal mantra, so hum. If you want to take it a step further, you can create a breath awareness only, where you focus on the tip of your nose, and basically on your inhale and your exhale, you feel the air traveling through your different nostrils. And you basically, on a continual basis, remind yourself bring awareness over here. Bring awareness to the body. Inhale, exhale. What are the sensations over there? Okay, let them pass. Now we're on an inhale again. Let the exhale stuff go. And just that cultivation of breath awareness, or cultivation of mind awareness, or cultivation of emotional awareness. What am I feeling right now? Right? Well, I mean, personally, right now I'm feeling in flow and excited and happy to be here. And yeah, when we cultivate a presence in our body, in our different bodies, our mental body, emotional body, physical body, and spiritual body, we allow ourselves to perceive what is going on those different layers. And through that perception, we can change or alter those spaces within ourselves. And as I said last time, you are the only thing you can control. You cannot control what other people are going to do. You cannot control what life is going to hand you. You cannot control external situations. That being said, however, what you can control is your internal state of being. So again, what you think about the matter, what you feel about the matter, what you do about the matter. And I suppose I'm trying to think of a metaphor for the spiritual body. What the spiritual body does in response is, overall how you bring your best version of you, or what you bring to the table, so to speak. Now, there are many, many different ways of cultivating awareness or cultivating presence, and that is inclusive of, but definitely not limited to, meditation, yoga, sports, tai chi, art, music, washing the dishes, doing the laundry. Baba Ram Dass, a very, very dear figure in my life, an inspirational mentor in my life, said basically, whatever your current situation is, that is your yoga, basically. And what yoga in that aspect means is what your practice is. And basically, I need to stop saying basically. So that's my next little mental thing that I am going to shift, is saying basically too much. So when it comes to developing or cultivating awareness and presence in your life, it needs to be an intentional thing, because we didn't get taught, or at least I didn't get taught, how to do this in school. Nobody taught me how to focus. Nobody taught me how to be present. Nobody taught me how to show up. It was something I had to teach myself. And thankfully, these days, there are so many beautiful podcasts. There are so many beautiful lectures and informations and blogs and books and things that you can read. And free resources as well as paid resources, workshops, you name it. The information is there. The resources are there. It's about applying yourself and actually showing up and saying, I deserve to be more present in my life. I deserve to show up better for me and for the people around me and for the life I'm creating. And with that decision, that finality of saying, okay, I deserve better from myself, it's not judgment or sitting in judgment of I'm not good enough. That's again a belief system that doesn't serve. It is saying I deserve better instead. And those two, if you feel how they feel in your body, I'm not good enough versus I deserve better. One definitely feels diminishing and the other definitely feels empowering and exciting. It evokes a certain power and motivation and drive in oneself to do better with what you've got. Now, cultivating presence in these different aspects of life. Let's take washing the dishes, for example. What does it mean to be cultivating awareness or presence while washing the dishes? That could look like, I'm going to take this plate now. It's got some stuff on it from last night, and I've got a little dish sponge over here, and I've got some soapy water in front of me. Okay, well, let's put the dish sponge in there. What does the water feel like? What does it feel like on my skin? Or if you're wearing gloves, what do the gloves feel like? What do the bubbles feel like? What is the texture of the sponge? Okay, well, what motion are we going to move over here? And instead of giving the motion a name, can you be with the motion and just flow with it? Okay? What does moving the dish sponge around feel like? You get the drift over here. I'm waffling a little bit now. But basically, and there's basically again. Hello, my old friend. When it comes to accessing that space of presence, it is becoming the awareness of the action happening, not telling your body to make an action happen, if that makes sense. So it is allowing the action to happen without the mental chatter going on, or in awareness of the mental chatter going on, but your awareness is the key focus over here. And it feels, what awareness feels like is a calm, alert space of observance. You are observing what's going on, not naming, not trying to ideate and create and think about and all those different kinds of things. It is about saying, okay, dishwashing is happening. This is happening. Okay, breathe with it. Breathing is happening. Okay, notice things. Notice them and let them go. Be with the moment as it arises. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now. Now be here. Now be here. Now be even more here. It's one of those things of constantly bringing yourself here to this moment, to this moment, to this moment. Show up better here. Be here now. You get the drift. It is about cultivating that space where you bring your entire self here. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not thinking about the past. I am so present here because that is the best way for me to show up for what I would like to share with you. And in order for that to happen, I need to let go of the past. I need to let go of the future so that I can actually be here with you guys now. Now, when it comes to presence itself, it starts within. How we develop presence looks something along the lines of holding space for yourself. If you've ever been to therapy, or if you've ever been to a self-help workshop, or if you've shown up for your partner, or if you're in a relationship, or you've got a friend who's going through a rough time, or you're a family member who's going through a rough time, and if you take yourself in those terms and you say, okay, cool, I'm going through a rough time, or, this thing happened. Sit with yourself. If you're able to, speak it aloud to yourself, or write it down, or if you would like to keep it all inside, have a conversation with yourself and say, okay, cool. Andrew, yesterday I was quite upset with the way that taxi cut me off. I got really upset. I got really angry. It didn't really feel great, but it happened. Okay, Andrew, well, that's okay. You're allowed to get angry sometimes. It is part of it. You definitely felt like he didn't see you, maybe, or pushed his way in, didn't care for what your thoughts were, and he was in a hurry to do his own thing. He was selfish, all those kinds of things. Or she, whatever, or whatever that person identifies as. It is what the external situation evoked inside of you. The process of holding space for that is okaying it first and saying you're entitled to your feelings. You're allowed to feel that way, but don't hold on to it. Don't get stuck in the emotions. Don't make it a story. Because if you say 13, 15, 20 years ago, that person screwed up my life and it's all their fault that I'm here today, that is dangerous. Because all of a sudden you've given all of your power away to that single incident 20 years ago. That person probably doesn't even remember it. They let it go then already. It is you who is holding on to that thing that happened 20 years ago. And yeah, it may have been life-changing. It may have been absolutely horrific or disastrous in some way, shape, or form. But that was 20 years ago. You are the one that holds on to these things or lets go of them. And if you let your story define you, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. It's that simple. Now, it might sound a bit harsh, but at the end of the day, if you are looking to grow as an individual, responsibility for your internal being and state of being is essential. Growth is not possible without awareness of the different aspects of self. Now, when you hold space for yourself and you okay it and you allow it to happen, you allow the emotions to come through and you notice them. Okay, this car is green, let it go. This car is red, let it go. Basically, you allow yourself to take those emotions or take those thought patterns and notice them as something that is transient and non-temporary, or it is, not non-temporary, it is temporary. It's not something eternal. It's not something that is you. You are not defined by it. And through cultivating that awareness of those things, you identify more with that aspect of you that does not change, which is the awareness behind the happening. And essentially that is you. Now, if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, I'm pretty sure most of you thought of a pink elephant. Maybe all of you. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And what that is meant to serve as is you noted the pink elephant. You noted, if I said don't think of a watermelon, you noted the image of a watermelon or the taste or the fragrance or, there is some image conjured over there. You saw the image. You cannot be that which is observed as well as the observer at the same time, which means you are not your thoughts. If you can observe an emotion, that means you're not your emotions. If you can observe a belief pattern, it means you're not that belief pattern. If you can observe a trauma or a grief or a this or a that, it means you're not those things. Yeah, they happened, but you're not them, which means they don't define you. So in essence, what holding space for those things and allowing them to come up and then witnessing them is allows them to have their voice and to have their say. When an emotion is heard, it no longer carries that emotional charge and weight behind it, which means it no longer weighs you down. It's a stone that you can let go of, and your being already feels lighter just having that feeling heard. Now, when it comes to letting go of things that don't serve us, or emotions that don't serve us, or thoughts that don't serve us, or habits that don't serve us, the process is the same. It is acknowledge what is there, accept what is there, let it go, and rewrite the script. Now, rewrite the script serves mainly for the mental aspect because there is where your new story begins. And once it becomes a mental habit, it becomes an emotional embodiment. Once it becomes an emotional embodiment, your physical body starts to react with it. So if you are deconstructing yourself and running yourself into the ground with your thought patterns and constantly chewing yourself up, all of a sudden you become dissatisfied with yourself and you don't like yourself as a person and you think you're horrible and useless and worthless. And then your body starts to run down and start to think, oh, okay, I'm not going to serve this person because it hates us. That kind of trajectory happens in the body. But if you fuel yourself and say, okay, cool, I've got this. You support yourself, you allow yourself to grow, you allow yourself to learn, you allow yourself to experience things and to change the way you're interacting with things. All of a sudden, your mind says, okay, yes, we can, we've got this, we can do better, we can focus on something that actually serves us. All of a sudden, your emotional state of being changes and it becomes one of motivation, it becomes one of drive, it becomes one of empowerment. And then the body responds. And this is all scientifically proven already, that what you think in your mind becomes reality. I mean, basically, the placebo effect is what modern medicine is weighed against in order to test its efficacy. That alone says your belief changes your body's physical chemistry. Meaning, if you are able to heal your body with a sugar pill, believing that that is medicine, imagine what you can actually do with your intention and active, intentional belief and intentional presence and guidance in your internal world. What you can achieve, what your body will be fueled to do, what you will be able to feel, and how you'll be able to connect to life itself, to joy, to happiness, to presence, to peace, to wealth, abundance, health. All these different aspects form a part of how the mind works, and how the emotions work, and how the physical body works, and how the spiritual body works, and how they work together. This is the holistic perspective. All of these different elements need to be looked after and need to be held together and need to be brought into awareness and then changed into something that serves. That is the ultimate empowerment that we are here to do in our physical lifetime. Now, we're going to wrap up now. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining. Guys, if you really enjoyed this episode, or if you thought anything over here was helpful or valuable, please like and share. Please support the channel by giving us a little follow down below. If you guys have got any thoughts or questions, or if you would like to hear more about a certain topic, or you've got your own topics that you'd like to bring to the table, please drop them below. We will take them into consideration and bring them to life. I'm gonna, as I already a little bit previously ago, give you a little bit of an info about the next episode. It is more about subconscious reprogramming and shadow work, and then some more tools for self-growth and self-help. And I'm quite excited about that one. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day. Ciao, guys.